I may get a piece of this. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crew Cast, episode 9. Oh my goodness, we are chugging along, baby. This week we've got you'll notice the camera angles are a little different. Travis came up with a very good idea that we brought up in the last episode, and he was trying to do this idea at the end of episode 8. He was like, "Hold on, I have a quick idea." I'm like, "Nah, this is a full episode."
We were pushing an hour already.
It was already 2 hours long.
we did a second podcast that day.
Yeah, we did.
Minus Poo Cast was in there. There was like 3. We squeezed 3 out of that.
Yeah, a little
So good.
slice.
But yeah, so it was. So this was Travis's idea. Travis, go ahead and give some explanation on what we're doing today.
So we're gonna do a D&D campaign. I have prepared for each one of you individually. It'll be more of a decision tree than it actually is. And they've already pre-sent me their characters and their alignments and what they tend to do and what the character's goal is.
And this isn't like a full D&D thing where we have abilities and stuff like that. Well,
No.
Right.
Yeah,
It's not
that's
like a
when you
full
get into like
character
rolling
sheet.
dice, and we're gonna avoid all that. So this is more of like a talk through, decision making.
Just our
So
thought
just remember
process.
to ask questions, be smart about it, because I'm gonna try to get you towards the end to get you what I want you guys to
this is
end up
more
as.
like
There's a good ending, and then there's Travis's ending.
So this is more like we're dipping our toes into D&D as a group. This is our first experience with D&D.
We
as
are
the crew.
gonna be trying to do a campaign in January.
Which I
I'll
was
probably
thinking.
be DMing. I just got to get my schedule situated.
Look at this guy.
But yeah, come January, I should be good to go. So, or I mean, if we wanted, we could probably do like in December or something. So,
But yeah, I was thinking like this could also be not backstory, but just like stories for our characters.
Yeah,
that
that'd
are
be
like
fun.
building our characters.
So also try to maybe also influence the person's story on their decision making. Maybe like give your 2 cents on somebody's decision, so you can kind of get
people's feedback.
Yeah. But also stick true to your characters. So I'll briefly run over everyone's characters that they sent me. So none of you guys have. I told them to text me individually, so none of them have each other's ideas.
Oh yeah, we have no idea who.
It's the
first time we're gonna know.
So Brenden is Rohan Ironhand. He's a human. He's lawful good. His goal is to create an order of individuals to help and protect the common man from evil who would destroy them. So medieval white knight.
or like paladin or something like that.
Mine's neutral
Corbanothin
good.
is Nebrok Sky Striker. He's a Goliath. He is good, is what you said. Neutral good? Okay.
I haven't seen a Goliath.
He's trying to make up for the past mistakes he's made in battle that led to the loss of his home, to bring glory back to his home and liberate it.
Nice.
Freedom!
Tim is just Peak. What's your last name?
He doesn't need one.
Flightfoot.
All right.
He's just
Mountain.
that good.
He's also a man. His alignment also said good. Are we lawful good? Will you follow along good? Or are you
I
neutral
forgot
good?
the chart. What is the things?
There's
So there's,
chaotic
like,
good, lawful good,
Neutral
good.
good.
Yeah.
And then neutral. Neutral's kind
So you
of.
have
I
3
think
on the
it's
left.
Probably.
Lawful good is like far good.
Yeah, lawful good.
Chaotic good is kind of like.
You do good, but it's like.
It's
What
like
am
it's
I
like
gonna screw
Deadpool
up?
kind of.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so it'd be lawful good.
Lawful good. Okay. And then Tim wants to be the commander of kingdoms in the military, well-rounded in many trades, swordsmanship, horsemanship, friendly to animals, archer, scholar, religious, friar tuck.
Yep.
Friar Tuck.
Nice.
I didn't write that part.
Yeah. Who wants to? You have that friar tuck haircut though?
Sure.
Good. It's a made-up character. Okay.
An elf with just like Friar Tuck hair.
He's got that sweat headband. He's got the 80s headband. All right.
Basketball
Who
headband.
wants to go first in the first scenario? Well, we'll start off with Brenden. We'll go around.
I'll go first because I've played before. So.
All right, Brenden. So scenario 1, you are the captain of a guard. It's an elected position that you were voted into from all the years of service as a normal guard. You moved up through the ranks, so now you're captain of the guard. You're the head guy in the city, all but the general. General is more of like, you guys are on
Kind
the
of
same.
outer army.
General only takes priority when martial
like-
law's in
yeah.
or you're in an invasion or something else. But generally, you're the guy everyone goes to.
Okay.
So in this scenario, you start off in the city. What's your normal typical day look like as captain of the guard? You're making your rounds. Are you talking to people? Are you just smoking a cigar? You stop by the bakery for breakfast? What's going on?
Well, I mean, I'd probably be waking up early. Probably.
Getting a workout.
Should I make decision if I have wife and kid?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Make a little impression. And I'll try to adapt too. So.
Yeah, okay. Let's see. Yeah, so I do have a wife and kid. We'll just say because a little older, you're in the guard. You've probably seen some stuff or whatever. You know,
Yeah,
you're kind of moving up through the ranks.
Yes.
So you're older. So I'll just say, you know, waking up early, heading over to the like barracks or whatever, making sure like everybody's ready to go like for the day, or make sure like the guards on duty and like watch and everything on the like gates. Making sure like everybody's ready, getting ready to like get up in the morning and get ready to go. Probably starting to inspect like equipment, armor, make sure everything is up to par. Then probably start going into like the courtyard or whatever, making sure everybody's going and training with their weapons and so on, like archery.
Yeah, making
spears,
your rounds.
Yeah,
making
you know.
rounds. Okay.
And then we'll probably have to do some paperwork. Obviously, like there's always paperwork in that type of position.
Investigation, you
Yeah.
have to sign off on, arrest, all that. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're walking through, you're making your rounds, and you start working your way outside of the upper city.
Okay.
So you start from the capital, you're kind of moving down, you're checking on posts. You get kind of towards more of the farmland area, and you hear people arguing, and crowds are coming, and there's people pointing and shouting. And as a guard, as captain of the guard, you go, I want to stop this before someone gets cold steel in their spine.
Yeah, definitely.
So you run up and you do some investigating, and you find out how all this started. You know, families are together, they're shouting. How all this started was between a man and a woman fighting over their property and the property line. And they're discussing it. You end up finding out that the woman thinks that she should have this part of the land. For 10 generations, her family's been farming on this plot of land. She's been using it, no issues, father's father, all of it, she's using it. Now, this man comes up and says, hey, I actually have the rights to this land. And then he shows you, the deed from forever ago. It's been passed down through I've never used this part of the field, and I want to do some expanding. So
there's basically an overlap between.
Yeah, the woman says, I've been using this for our family's been using this for hundreds of years. And this guy's like, yeah, you've used it, but I actually kind of legally own it. So, as captain of the guard, what is your final say? Do you say the woman, because there are, just a brief kind of pause on this switch, in real life, this is called an actual thing. I forget the name of it. It's like, if there's an abandoned house or like a house that hasn't been sold and like a homeless person's in it for like 10, 15 years, it can become legally theirs.
It's called squatter rights.
Yeah, it's squatter's rights. So if you could just jump in and like use it and nobody says it, like nothing happens, it's not used, you're getting
You
the
have to
use out
go
of it.
about, I think, 6 to 8 months of like basically people. You can't get caught, or you'll be thrown in jail. If you don't get caught and you're sitting in that house for like 6 to 8 months,
It's only for
living
like
there
certain
and be able
states.
to prove
It's
it,
very blue states that
then-
have this. Like,
yeah, then
I don't
they'll-
think Utah has any.
Yeah.
There's nothing squatters' rights. So it's called squatters' rights. So very typical. So this is similar scenario.
Yeah.
But you're kind of that guy who has the say in this, and it's not a big part of the land. We're talking maybe, let's say, like an acre difference. And this guy's going, I want to use it, and the woman's kind of right before the season, right when she needs to plant, and needs this for her income. She has kids, she's single, and the man's just wanting to expand. So what's Brenden, captain of the guard's final decision on this? Also, you can ask questions on like what actually happened. So
Yeah, for sure. So one, I'd probably like just try to de-escalate the like situation, and then like obviously there'd probably be a pending investigation on like, hey, where are the landlines at? So like the survey like.
So on the guy's deed, it has it mapped out. Let's say it's detailed. So you have the proof, it's there, but he hasn't used it, and the woman's had it for a while.
Well, so if he has the proof, does the woman have the proof as well? Like if I'm like, hey, well, where's your deed? Like he has the deed for that plot
She
of
said,
land.
yeah, she says she doesn't have a deed, but she's used it for so long, and that's kind of, she just knows that to be her property, because she's seen her grandpa, and her grandpa's grandpa has told her about the land that they have, and all
Yeah.
this.
How much you want to bet this dude's great grandpa was like, yeah, you guys can use it for farming, no problem. And it's just like from then on, like it was just a favor that he did for this family.
Yeah.
And now they're like, yeah, it's our farm.
Yeah, that's pretty possible though. But at the same time, like, obviously she's farming land for like forever. Honestly, like, so is her whole land like part of the area he wants?
They're next to each other like neighbors.
Okay, so there's just an overlap
Yeah.
piece.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So to make it, I feel like to make it fair enough is one, have the guy split the land down like just in half and like give each other. Obviously he's paid for the land. He's paid for the land or whatever. So I feel like the woman should be entitled to pay the guy for the half that he has because he's already paid for the entire parcel,
Okay.
So I feel like if it's like, hey, like unfortunately,
No, there's no feel like. You're bringing down the hammer. This is what the final decision is. This is what's going to happen.
I would probably
Tell
say
him to
like,
their
hey, if like he's bought the land, he has rights on it, he has the paperwork for it and everything like that. If you want to compensate for half of that land to him and see if he'll split it, then you guys we'll pull up a document to be able to revise the deed, have you pay him half of the land.
So the woman is open to this, and she talks with the man, and the man says, like, I've let you have this for so long, it's just now I need the full land. I'm not willing to sell it. I need it. So I need it. It's either it's mine or it's not, and the woman's willing to negotiate.
Postpone expansion, dog.
Yeah.
Like let her farm and live. And
But-
then expand when
Well,
the,
I'm
when
thinking,
the harvest
like,
is
if
over.
it's her land and he buys it, it's like, where the heck is the money going? Is the money going to you or who?
Well, when they farm it,
whose
they collect
money
the
they go
crops
to?
and they sell it. So she makes more money because
Well,
she
not
has
her.
that
Like,
extra piece of
the
crop.
guy, like when he bought the piece of land, like
It's been passed down through family.
Oh, okay, dang.
So it's more of him going like, I'm going to use the land that I have now to expand my crops. And the woman's like, what? So that's the idea. So what's the final say?
I'd probably say, if you don't buy the land, then
Guy's not willing to negotiate.
the guy's not willing to go.
He says,
negotiate.
I want to use my land. I have the right for.
Just take the deed from him.
And the
Say it's
woman
yours.
says,
Just rip it up.
It's my land.
It's mine.
Yeah.
It's the city's land.
so is Brenden going to agree with the guy or the woman?
Well,
That's what we're
so
coming down to.
that's the thing, because legally, I'm not able to take action.
So are you going to do the right thing or are you going to do the right thing? See, scenario one.
I know.
That's tough. That's tough.
So one, I would, as a person or whatever, I would want.
You're as the guard, the captain. What is captain doing?
I'm saying he has property rights, and
Okay.
screw you. But as a man and being nice and everything, I would probably like pull money out of my own pocket and be like, "Hey, here's like a little bit of compensation. I'm sorry for that. My hands are tied in this situation because he has the legal rights to it."
And he's not willing to sell because he's
Yeah.
a booty hole.
And there's nothing I can do about it because it's his, and
This
legally
will-
the court system will follow it under.
This is so good because it'll play towards the end.
I know.
I know.
This played into the end.
What's nuts is,
You're
yeah.
gonna be awesome at the end. It's gonna be awesome. That's Travis's version of awesome. Okay, sure. High five. So that's scenario one. So you agree with the man.
Is he getting Travis ending? Is that what
So
you're
the
saying?
man gives you a handshake, and you realize that he's part of one of the higher up families. He's one of the well-known like last names in the area, and he thanks you so much, and he knows that your re-election is coming up, and some other guy is trying to get your office, and he kind of has you a little scared on switching to captain of the guard, but you know obviously you can do a better job. So he gives you a handshake, and he offers you to host a ball and a fundraiser to kind of give you awareness, and he wants to celebrate what you did for him as a small token of what you've done. So he invites you to come to the ball as a re-election to become captain of the guard for another X amount of time. And he gives you the time and date, and he asks, are you willing to come?
I would say yes.
Okay. And there's going to be lots of people there, and lots of people like, we'll do King's going to be there, guy in charge, Presidente.
General, high
No,
officials,
we'll do this.
nobles.
City council members, they're all going to be there. All the city council members that are in charge of the city are going to be there. He's invited everyone. Now he's just going to do it for you. All right, so that's scenario 1 for Brenden. Corbanathan Morris.
Die?
So, scenario 1.
Lay it on me.
You've moved along. Many cities you moved on after your past. You lost your home. You gone through a couple of years of depression. You got chubby, stinky boy in the woods. Lots of kids passing you, made stories about.
The Goliath in the woods.
Yeah. And then eventually you came to a point where you go, I got to either take my step forward or I stay where I'm at. And you chose to take your step forward. So now as a new man, you went to a new city. Similar to Brendan's story, you tried to join the guard and be Senor Good Guy. And they used you as a David and Goliath to many situations. And because of that and the rumors of Big Man, a humongous city traveled long to invade your city, and they got in. They invaded you. You lost a lot of men.
Not again.
You were in charge of a rebellion for over multiple months and days, trying to stop the invasion and total takeover. You got captured, but some of your rebels are out there still. So right now you're in a prison being watched over. Oh, you're still on the first page. My bad,
Brendan's
my
out
bad.
here invading my city.
You weren't being stinky. I wouldn't have to.
Hey!
So, in Corben's, you're in a prison, and all of a sudden you go through many days, you're kind of getting used to the guards cycling in and out, you kind of know people's faces, you're in a routine, you're in the prison for about a month, and you have a neighbor to your left and a neighbor to your right. There's some bars next to you. The guy to your right has never really been a talker, and the guy to your left kind of just mumbles stuff to himself, and he stares at you for long periods of time, and you've kind of were worried about it at the beginning, but after a while you kind of came to grips that you could probably just trash him if something happened. Smaller guy, you're big guy, so that's the end.
I'm like 8 feet tall, dog.
So one night you're laying there, and through the slate of your window, piece of paper hits you. You unwrap it, and it's a plan from the rebels trying to create a prison break for you.
Let's go.
And in the plan, they say they have everything down but one scenario. How to open the gate. How to break the bars open. And they said your bars in yours are a little bit sturdier, a little bit deeper. They kind of made it for you, and there's only one set of keys for yours specifically. And they're kept with the guards, the captain of the guard there.
Oh, so Brendan.
I was going to say, imagine it's Brendan.
So there could be some overlap. So they say during the siege and during the prison break, they can't guarantee that the keys they're going to be able to get. So they need to help you figure out what's going on. So after you read through this, an unfamiliar guard comes at night and passes through, and he stops by. Without facing your cell, he stops, and out of the side of his mouth he asks, do you want the plan to go through? He kind of whispers as he's holding his torch at night. What do you respond with?
So this is an undercover.
So
rebel.
he's asking you, are you in so
Am
we
I
can
in?
get plan and to do this?
So this isn't like do it. This is like, are we good to like keep planning?
Yes.
Go ahead.
You're in?
Yeah, keep planning.
Guard
we'll
walks-
figure it out.
Guard walks off. And then maybe an hour goes by, morning comes, and you're up before they bring around breakfast. And guy to your right doesn't really ever talk. You know, he's been beaten and been there so long, he's just kind of lost his mind. Guy to your left that always stares at you kind of crawls towards you. And you realize his legs probably don't work. So he crawls towards you, skinny, really long fingernails, and he motions you to come over because he wants to tell you something.
You can tell it to me from there, bud.
He coaxes you closer. He says,
You're gonna want to hear this.
I get close, but not within grabbing range.
okay. And he gets up, hands right next to the bar, and he looks you in his eye, in the eye to eye, and he goes,
I know, and I heard the guard last night. I know you're planning an escape.
he says,
Either you do me a favor right now, and I'm not gonna tell you. You're just gonna have to do me a favor when I call, or I tell the guards what you're planning.
Grab him through the bars
He
and kill him.
doesn't know the plan.
and he's been a prisoner there that you know of when you were part of the guard. So you know he's
So
a
he's one
criminal.
of our prisoners.
Yes, but they just kept him. So
But he doesn't know the plan. He just heard, "Are you in?" And I said, "Yeah."
So he knows you're planning something, and he guessed. He's trying to bluff you and know that you're planning something. You're planning an escape, and he wants you to do him a favor.
Can I say no?
You can say no.
After I
so
know
it's,
the favor?
It's yes to the favor. He'll call upon you, and you have to do it. Word of honor, honorable man. Or he says no, and he'll alert the guards on what he knows. So you don't know how much he knows, and you don't know what kind of guy.
Well, I know that the only things that were said were, "Are you in?" And I said,
Backstory
"Yes."
to this guy. He was your guys' prisoner for so long. No one really is alive to know the original kind of. There's a lot of stories that are passed around. No one really knows why he's originally in there, but it was so bad that he's just life in prison. So he's been in there. He's like 80. He's been in there, say, 50 years.
Dog.
So, do you do this favor? Do you do this unsaid favor, or do you say no to his face and
Just
he'll
kill
give
him.
up whatever information he
say.
thinks he has?
Snap his neck.
Die, criminal scum.
So he says no, he says okay, and he kind of shuffles back in the corner and goes back to staring you down.
I'm not
like
going to
his-
do a favor for a criminal that's been there for 50 years.
I
Fetch that.
kind of hope you win. Okay. So he says no.
This is bad. I wait.
Guards come around, bring breakfast. He kind of does the same thing to the guard. And the guard gets really close and he kind of whispers. And the guard looks at you. And he kind of gets up, straightens his posture, and he takes off to alert the captain of the guard.
Except that was the undercover guard.
So, captain of the guard comes in with the key, shackles. We got
Brenden, what are you doing here?
20 buffest, strongest men. They got ropes, shackles. They're gonna get you. And they say, you're coming for an interrogation.
Well, the thing
And they
is,
start unlocking you, they get you shackled up, and they start walking towards the interrogation room. So that's
I would have
part one.
probably gave the guy the favor because one, you're putting risk on not only you but also your team because if they know, they're able to ambush them and kill them. So
Well,
that was my thing.
I'm not gonna say they don't know. They literally have the word of an 80-year-old senile prisoner that was there before I ever.
Yeah,
came.
he's senile.
To
What kind of favor
Corbin's-
could he
To
ask?
Corbin's knowledge,
You don't-
all he
dude,
knows is that
poo in
the
your-
old man...
eat my poo, or I'm telling the guards, eat my poo, or I'm telling the guards. I don't know. He's a senile old man who's a criminal. He's been there for life.
To Corbin's decision making, all the old guy overheard was the guy said, "Are you in?"
That's all
And
he said. He
Corbin
said, "You
kind of
in?"
nodded and said yes. So that's all the old guy heard. So who knows what this old guy knows?
He just said-
maybe he's just trying to pull a fast one and get a favor from Corbin. So
Yeah.
Job? I'm going to get it right out.
Being a little
Okay.
sneaky.
Tim,
Ooh.
Wait, okay.
Tim has also worked his entire life Aragorn style. He started with a heritage, promised many riches, started his own town, crumbled. You kind of had a guy that you trusted, kind of slapped you up, and then kind of ruined your city. People moved out, you had to tax people higher, and eventually you just had to give up. You moved to a new city, you worked your way up, and now you're king again. But you're kind of older, we're saying like 50s. 50s, Friar Tuck Tim. So you're king. And you've learned a lot in your experience. So you know kind of the inner workings, and you're really good at reading personalities. Like, based off of people's interactions with you, you've learned how to, you've mastered swordsmanship,
Read the man.
horsemanship, you've taught a lot of people, you've had a lot of mentors, and now you kind of know and can give a good sense of what people's intentions are and like what will make and break a city. So, based off of this city, and king, you're in a world where there's multiple kingdoms, kind of like Skyrim, where there's like 9 big cities. There's like 9 major kingdoms. You're the king of one, and every now and then you guys will meet as kings of the realm to discuss certain things. So this one king, based off of your interactions, personality, and knowing your knowledge, that he is going to cause a recession. Either he's going to start taking over stuff because he's brought up a lot of weird activity. Basically, he wants communism. So what you've decided is you've given him an ultimatum to either stop and agree to some terms, or you're going to take over. He said no, stubborn, so you start an invasion on his city. So,
Okay. Yeah.
so you're going So based to one of those, better to let one man perish and an entire nation dwindle in disbelief. So you're going to have to go touch him. So right now you're invading the city.
I wonder who he's invading.
What's your plan? They all kind of have a small connection. So you start invading this town. Well, what's your plan of attack? It's a smaller city than you, but it's more fortified. It's up against a mountain, and kind of like a
Helm's Deep?
yeah. No, not. Yes, Helm's Deep, but more of a.
Minas Tirith?
Minas Tirith, where the back's up against, but it kind of protrudes out.
okay.
So there's
Is it made
only
of
kind of
stone
one
and-
way to attack forward. More like Helm's Deep, but less like more big, like Minas Tirith.
And is it made of stone or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Stone. They got a lot of foliage in the town. So it's not like as tall, but it's as wide. It's as wide.
Ah, this is the.
And you guys have more men. You have about 10,000 more men than they do, but they kind of have the at-home advantage.
So
Defender's advantage.
Yeah.
it's not like I'm not and this whole city hasn't done anything. It's really just their king. So I really just need to get to the king.
But the king's been in for a while, and he has a lot of loyal people under him. So like mostly people in the city will see you as the bad guy.
Okay.
Oh, obviously not every
Yeah.
citizen, but
Yeah.
a good majority of the people are seeing you as like you're coming to just take over, and the king's kind of spreading his influence.
And it's almost kind of like, say, if just the king died, his plan would still go through because he has enough followers.
Somewhat. He's kind of the head guy sparing things out. He's having everybody congregate in the city.
It's basically the snake. If
So
cut
you
off the
found
head,
some
the
intel
body will
off
die.
of scouts that you've previously sent in the city as messengers. You've got the routine of him. So what he does is he has his own newspaper. It's the only one allowed in the city. He'll make his own messages with his approval. He'll have all the people that they can congregate in the main city hall. He'll have nightly talks about what's going on. He'll update the people, giving them his version of what's going on. So a lot of the people are only hearing one side of the story and obviously are going with it. So that's kind of the intel you found out, and you realize if you kind of get rid of his kind of group of guys, kind of his small knit of people he trusts, you'll be able to probably just let people know what's actually going on. Kind of like the Jedi, when people are against the Jedi, you kind of kill them and you go, you're free to do whatever, and then they go, oh, they kind of get the realization of like, oh, you're not here to just be here and rule. So that's kind of the give and take here. So what's your plans for attack? You have a limited amount of food. Let's say you have about 3 weeks worth of food for all your men, provisions, before things kind of have to get rationed.
And it's like a faraway kingdom.
Let's say you're about 2 weeks journey from your kingdom. So if you were to go there and back, it would still kind of have to be rationed out. So you're kind of, you guys won't instantly die, but it'll take longer out. So you have about 3 weeks on what you've planned to take this city.
And are they at a point where they know I'm there?
Yes.
Or, okay.
They have also had scouts, they know you're coming.
Okay.
So they've kind of done the turtle method where they've just buried in, you can't get me, and leave us alone.
What's the enemy's supply then?
So,
Are you able to outlast them? That's the
so yeah, am I good friends with enough of the other kingdoms, or is it kind of like me? Like every kingdom's still kind of on their own?
The other kings support you, as seeing as you're one of the kind of the upper people that people take advice to, so they're kind of one to not really question your decision making, as they've seen your experience go on through long.
Yeah.
So they've kind of trusted you. They're just going with what you've decided, and they think it'd be a good idea. One other king is kind of on the other guy's side, where he's like, if you're gonna do this, you got to do it the right way. So that's kind of one of the guys, but the rest are saying, I think it'd be a good idea to dethrone him.
There are definitely lots of battle tactics, because like one option would be just siege them out, just
Cut his
wait
supply
'em,
lines?
yeah,
Okay.
cut their supply lines and just kind of start bringing in provisions so that we can just hold them hostage for long enough till they have to give in, or just kind of cut them out of just where they wouldn't have a say in anything because they're just stuck in their own city.
So you get the feel where if you
Yeah.
left him alone, there'll be big problems. Like he'd start taking land that's kind of in between kingdoms, and it could cause some issues.
This is probably it. So I'd maybe do like a little bit where they think.
And this is why
won.
you know that if you leave him alone, it'll be horrible. Like a recession will
He'll
come.
be similar to like a certain painter from the 40s that was rejected from paint school.
Less about that and more about he's starting to get power hungry. So you know, based off of your experience, that if you were to dethrone him, not
If you don't
necessarily
stop him
kill him,
now,
Yeah.
he's
but
gonna overflow and start affecting not only your kingdom but other kingdoms and people.
and you know he's a smart guy too. So you know
Yeah.
just based off of things like he could probably, with enough time, take another kingdom. Because out of all the
Yeah.
kingdoms, he has kind of the nicest setup.
So it'd be nice to just kind of go in and just assassinate that one guy. But it seems kind of like he maybe has a kingdom that you can't do that, or it's kind of
So he has like a tight personal
set up where
guard.
it'd be
He
a little
has
too hard to do
a
that.
handful of trusted people.
So
That's
I guess
you
it
found out
is-
through your scouts.
Just like a full-on war. So I'd start just a war and attacking them, but I'd get help from the rest of the kingdoms and just convince them and be like, we just got to stop this guy before he takes over the rest. Like he's big enough and he's gonna have enough.
So
Yeah.
some kingdoms have already given you soldiers, but they can't support you any further because sometimes they can only spare so much.
Yeah.
It's kind of spread out. So that's why you have 10,000 more men. Let's say that.
Yeah.
You have 10,000 more men. You got 3 weeks of provision for all of them, so all of them kind of brought food. So you have a nice setup. You have some supplies. You have some trebuchets. You have some things you brought just in case, your big stick, just in case things get bad. You're in a meeting with your trusted lieutenants.
Yep.
One of them does agree. You have about 2 lieutenants you trust. So it's you, 2 lieutenants, and then you have several people under them to kind of work on it. Your 2 lieutenants you're in a meeting with. One says it'd be a good idea for you to cut the supply lines and kind of force them to make a move or negotiate with you or open up trade where they have to talk to you. The second one says, I have an offense strategy that could do something. We brought a lot of burning oil, pitch, that we can sneak up onto the mountain get in position, and pour it on to his headquarters and what he could do. He says it's risky because if it burns through a couple different areas, it could flow into some different parts of town, but if they line it up right, they think they could just get that part. But it's a lot of oil, so if they bring it, it'll burn a lot of his main group people, or if it spills over, it would kind of hurt the city. So
there's
risk
also a
reward
lot
there,
of
or
shrubbery.
the other one is the long route, where you have to open up negotiations.
So I'd probably do a little bit of both, like start the siege or cutting the supply lines,
Yeah.
but just in the meantime, so they kind of almost distract them with that, so they're focused on not having their supplies, so they don't notice the oil coming.
Okay.
Oh, snap.
Choose both options. So how
Tim's
much is a
wombo
little bit of
comboing.
both? Are we doing both?
So it
Both
would be
fully?
well, it depends on how.
Because if you
much-
do like half the oil.
Well, it'd be full on just. So yeah, it's basically both full.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, both. So your lieutenant says, I'll start getting the oil ready. We'll start getting a carriage up so we can get it up the hill and we'll plan it out. It'll take about a day or two to kind of find the right route. And then, no, it'll take about a week. It'll take about a week to get enough oil up there, enough men, the supply lines, and then also with a cutoff, about 3 days into the cutoff, the city is starting to realize that it's not incoming. So there's not a shortage on how much food, but they realize they don't have enough to replace. So the city, one of the guys, they call him Allah. He's a representative of the city. It's a title. His real name's Muhammad. And in this title, he's supposed to be a representative of the people. He's disassociated from the kingdom and the leadership. It's kind of a title in their city that they have to be a representative of the people, and he asks to have a meeting with you. He's not going on behalf of the king. He wants to go on behalf of the people. He asks for a meeting with you, that he'll come to your place, given guaranteed safety, and he has his little squad of, let's say, 12 men. So he asks for a meeting about 3 days in. Do you accept, or do you say no meeting?
My first instinct is to accept it and just be with him to see how it goes.
Yeah.
But I
And
can see
again,
some
he's-
reasons not to.
So, yeah, there's both. Again, he's coming to you in your camp of people, so you'll way outnumber him.
Yeah.
But again, who knows what his true intentions are? But
Might as well just hear it.
he's
Yeah,
not
so-
connected to the king, and off scouts, he's talked with the king. He's kind of there, but he's more of a respected title, kind of like a elder in a village.
So yeah, I'll talk to him.
Okay, so we set up the meeting. So they'll set that up about the same day. A day before you plan to light your oil. All right. Think about that. Back to Brenden.
Brenden.
Hopefully you guys like this. Hold on.
Yeah,
it's
fun.
interesting.
It's good.
Okay. So, Brenden, you're in the party. You're dressed up nicely.
All right.
Your
Uniform?
child got sick. It's just common cold. So your wife wants to stay home, so it's just you at the party.
All right.
When you go in, you see the man immediately greet you, and he starts introducing you to a bunch of different people. Friends, all his different friends, he's naming them off, getting a bunch of different people. You're giving them handshakes to other people. You're posing for pictures, and you can tell he really wants you to meet all his tight groups of people. He's showing you, you're shaking hands. He wants you to take pictures with all of them individually, shaking their hand, giving you a little thumbs up, peace sign. Party goes on. What's Brendan's kind of thing in the party? Are you gonna campaign? Are you gonna try to go political route? Or are you just gonna kind of let people approach you? What's your kind of plans in this party?
So I'd probably
There's events
just-
going off. There's
yeah.
auctions in the background.
Takes the
being
stage.
provided.
Vote for me.
So I feel like, especially as like a guard and coming from the bottom, that like I don't know, like he'd probably hate the politics side of everything. So he's like, nah, screw it. Like, he doesn't want to be in a huge position of power, but he does want to be able to be in a position.
Well, you've
to
played the
really
politics game
like it.
enough to be captain of the guard. So it's not your
Yeah,
favorite,
true.
but you have to play into it to be in the position you are.
Yeah.
So it's up to you. Do you want to play it some more to kind of try to push your way into being captain of the guard again to kind of help your chances, or you just kind of let fate take over?
Well, one, I would probably push for me to be able to like be captain of the guard again as well, because you know, like the other candidate is, I don't think it would be the best scenario for the city and the people, and also like, you know, in the long run. So I'd probably play the politics and kind of push on a little bit. You know, not like a huge thing, being like endorsing myself and everything, making me to be this absolutely fantastic person, and like, you know, like slander everybody else. But I would probably just pay, like, you know, talk to people, see how they feel, what do they think about the city, what do they think about the candidacy, like what do you think about like my job or whatever, or like different positions that is happening like in the like city.
Okay. And just a reference for everyone, there's important things that when I say like, you know, like this is happening, you can also just stop me and say like, no, I don't want to do that, or like I want to do this instead, and I'll try to improv as much as I can with you. But we'll also come down to an ultimate decision. So there's certain things. Okay, so you kind of played the political game. The guy that's hosting the event again kind of brings you up on stage, explains what you did for him, and you know how it wasn't prompted by anything, that you did it. Now you're going to have a great relationship. And he asked, hopefully you support people like me and him like this for your next candidacy. And
so
he kind of
he
leaves
lumped
that question
himself
up
in
for you to kind of answer, like, do you plan on supporting people like me? And he kind of like lets you speak for yourself. So what do you respond with?
I would say I plan on supporting the greater good and also upholding the law. Yep.
That's the only thing that he had.
Because
He
I
had
am
the
lawful
deed.
good, right? Yeah.
He had the deed, so it's like, yeah, that would hold
So
up
I
in
just,
court.
you know, it's gonna hold up, and like obviously I paid out of pocket to be able to help somebody that's in need, especially since they lost like some of that income as well. But you know, unfortunately, like, you know, the law is the law, and my hands are tied for that. So, but at the same time, I would like to see, like, you know, the common good of the people.
So people start filing out of the party. People are it's kind of dying down. Band kind of plays their last song. There's not that really many important people. And the guy comes over to you who's hosting the event. We'll call him
Kind of concluding.
Pete. So Pete asks you to step into his office. He says, you know, I'd like to go over kind of what we raised and to end up, you know, giving it to you somehow, you know. And he wants to talk to you, just you and him in his office, in his house that he hosted a party in.
I'd probably go with him.
Okay, yeah. So obviously he leaves the door open. It's kind of into a study. So he leaves the door open, so kind of like your back's open to the party, so people can still see you in and out. You're in this office.
Yeah.
And he talks to you about how much money they raised. It's a decent amount. It's going towards your campaign, you know, on getting the word out, things you've done. And he mentioned that it might be a smart idea to donate this money to a lot of people like him that kind of had similar things, not only like with property lines, but there's a lot of people that have proof from law stuff that just because kind of like squatters thing, they're taking over, kind of like business ideas or inventions that people take. So he asks, what'd be smart is if you're able to kind of put this money towards that. And he says he has a different friend that can kind of network this all out.
I'd probably say no.
Or he can just give this all to you right now.
So I would probably ask for it to be put towards I'd probably ask for it myself.
Okay.
Because then I feel like I'm able to control where the cash flow is going and like exactly what I'm kind of investing in, because then I'll be able to make like the final decision, be like, oh, is this gonna help like, you know, people and also myself, you know, that kind of stuff.
So he starts getting the idea that you're kind of thinking of him like doing some sketchy stuff, and he says, no. Like, we'll have receipts. We try to do everything by the law. So you'll have all this proof and paperwork. Like, and then he kind of pulls out this contract and he kind of goes over and he lists through everything. And he says like, you'd be in charge of all this money. Like, it's gonna go this amount, and he kind of tells you the total, and he said, I kind of pre-wrote all the, like, say if you raised like $1,000, he's like 200 would go to like the people at the bakery, 200 would go to this, and he just says, I have a friend that would be able to have his full-time job just like doing this out for you. And like we'd have all the receipts, and he says there's a contract for it. Would you be up to signing it so you have all the lawful documentation you have, or would you like to just have it all and then you can delegate it like you said? It just said, he's a rich guy, he's like, I just have the friends in the network to just do this for you.
So can I have all the money? So can I do both? So I'm the one that has the money, is able to release
But
the
you
money
want to personally do it.
to the I want to personally do it.
Okay. He says, sure. He says, would you sign the contract to kind of sign all the receipts, knowing that you're giving out all the money from your charity? Or do you just want to get this lump sum? It's kind of hush.
Under the table.
He's like,
Not
here's
taxed.
this money we
No,
raised.
I don't want to do under the table, but at the same time, it's like, like, wait, you said.
He kind of has not a contract, like it's more of an agreement, like you promised to give all this money to the people, and he has you sign it. Like he asked for you to kind of like, it would be good if you signed it, because then there would be record of you just giving out money. So
And
it
he
would
has
go
all
towards
of
your
the
campaign.
receipts to where it's going. So like,
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
much
yeah.
to this.
Yeah, I would.
And
do
you
that.
looked it over, and it looks all legit.
So yeah, I would do that, but I would also ask for like a copy of it.
No, yeah.
For
He'll give you a
myself.
copy, of
And
course.
so like, yeah, I'd probably do that. So it's like, it's legally going to the people, but I'm also able to implement it myself, and be able to like, not have anything like, ooh, look at this,
Yes. And he
So-
thanks you, and he gives you a to-go basket for your wife, and he says, sorry, your family wasn't able to make it. He said, I'll see you around, Captain. And then he kind of leads you out the door.
That was a little suspicious.
No, he kind of
See
wraps
you
up.
later, Captain.
He kind
He
of
knows
wraps.
what you're
wink.
getting.
He kind of wraps up the night. Is there anything you want to do before heading home specifically?
Hit the tavern.
Get drunk and come home and just. Your wife?
Why did you come?
Why isn't second dinner ready?
Nah, so
You're
one.
captain of the guard. You could get away with it.
So one, I would.
Oh yeah.
One, I'd probably go and like since the lady that we talked about before kind of lost out and stuff like that, I would probably go to her house and like give her a little bit more money since like because of choosing the other side, obviously it was able to help me, but as well like I want to be charitable and be like, hey, I understand what like that you lost this and stuff and it's hard, so I'd like to give you some money to be able to kind of help out with that situation. I don't like when you're smiling like that.
Oh, I know.
He's got some like shiz up his.
It's interesting to know, like, sometimes when I was writing a scenario, I was like, he's like obviously gonna pick the other one. Like, I thought you were obviously gonna go diplomatic, but you're like, I'll do the oil too. So I was like, all right.
Okay then.
So for like what Brenden did a couple of things. He kind of did also the same thing. Like, he kind of chose both, so it was interesting. So,
yeah.
Corben, you're in an interrogation room. You've been spanked up.
You think
Big time.
pain can do anything to me?
Big time.
I've already experienced the worst pain you can experience.
So you're in the interrogation room.
Freaking Batman
Starts
stuff
beating
over
you
there.
up. You're kind of roughed up a bit, and he tells you that you're not going anywhere. For the hassle you've caused, for your expansion, like against their empire. You're going against what everybody wants, is how he's positioning it. And he says,
That's why you're in here, and that's why we can't let you go.
and he says,
What we'll do now is just based off of the information the old man had, which was kind of nothing. He said, you're up to something. What we're going to do is you're getting 24/7 guard watch. You'll always be a guard posted out watching you next to your couple cells.
No, that's great. Because at one point, our undercover guard is going to be that guard. And that's the perfect time.
and he asked for the rest of the battalion on information. He said,
We can strike a deal. He says, I know there's still some rebellions out there, rebels,
and he says,
if you can give us any information on that, we can cut a deal and get you out of here. and getting you back to your wife and kid.
By the way, you have a wife and kid. They're in the
Yeah.
city, but
Nah, they're in my hometown.
the Empire works in a way where they don't want to look bad in the eye of the people. So like they captured you because you're actively going against them, but your wife and kid are fine in the city.
So they took over
supposedly.
the city, like officially, and I was just
They
living
have a
underground.
foothold in it, yeah. And everyone who's leading the city, they haven't killed, but you're in jail. So kind of the big leaders. So you kind of the leader of what was going on.
Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about.
Ooh, guard kind of gets pissed, and he
Well,
asks,
okay, can I give them false information?
Sure.
Can they verify it? Like, is it like, okay, in
you
3
give 'em-
days it'll be like, well, you know.
Yeah, we'll find out whatever lead, and then they'll come back and beat you.
Well,
we
what
can-
if
so
you're
we can give
like,
them false
hey, the rebels are gonna be at this place,
So,
in this
do you-
location, at this
you
time,
want to
but
do that?
they'll arrive there beforehand, and then the rebels will arrive and be able to create an ambush and wreck the guards. So that's misinformation.
I was gonna say. So I could
Back
feed
to-
them. Problem is they don't have any way to tell
Yeah,
the
how are you
rebels.
gonna tell the?
I guess I could. I mean, they have
Well, I mean,
paper. but
they're pretty
just
smart
a little
though.
bit of
They're,
poo
they're
right
resilient.
back.
So do you want to give them false information, or what do you respond? He says,
We could strike a deal. Do you have information or anything you can give us, and we can get you back to your wife and kid?
and as your character, that kind of pulls on your heartstrings a little bit, because that's kind of so. So you
I
kind
think
of
I'll-
question some things, but
Can-
again, you're strong to what you believe in.
I'm gonna give the false info. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give something that's like half true, but that I know is not gonna give away any of the actual
So
rebellion.
one of his guards, and the guy, kind of has his hands behind his back, and he's looking at the outside a window, and he's looking out on the city, and his, under his bum guards writing everything down that you say, and he says,
If we go through this and we find out you're lying,
and he says,
I'm looking at your wife's house right now.
Oh!
That's why it's a
and
half
he,
truth.
and he starts leaving.
That's why it's a half truth.
What'd you tell him?
I gave him our old location, but we
Okay.
had moved. So they're gonna get there and find remnants of the rebels.
So you just have to
But-
give them the
And then
premise.
be like,
I've
oh,
been
well-
in jail for a little bit. So
I've been
I
in
don't
jail, so I
know."
thought that's where they were. Like that's
Just
my
say,
bad.
as far as I know, this is where it's at.
Yeah.
That's good.
I didn't know that they had moved. They have. I'm in prison. What do you want from me?
Okay. So
You've had me in prison for over a month.
Then use the freaking negotiation. Be like, hey, well, maybe I go spy on them for you. If
If
you
you
let me
release
out of here.
I can feed you info.
So the head honcho man, El Jefe, tells his junior guard to leave, and it's just you and him. And he gets a couple whacks at you, and he kind of
Yeah, I'll give you this information. Cool. Bye. Bah, bah.
yeah, he's instilling a fear in you, is what he's.
I don't
trying to-
have fear in my heart.
So he beats you up a little more, and then he calls his guards in. And right before they come in, you hear them outside. They're coming in, and then right before they come in, spits in your face.
And he says, you better not be lying.
And he leans in real close, kind of like where your side of his eye is lined up to his side of his eye. He's about an inch from your ear. He goes, "Boy."
Brother, I'll tell you exactly.
Right as the guards come
I will
in
tell
and
you
they start
exactly.
grappling you.
No. His head's right there. He spit on my face. He said that. I just bop.
Nope. Guards already came in and grabbed you.
I got a headbutt.
Spit in your face.
I got a little headbutt. Bop.
Guards come in, grab you instantly, and then he goes, "Hold on." That one guard's holding your head, and he goes, "Boy." Ooh!
What? Got him.
You gonna
A single guard can hold my head
you
back.
gonna attempt that? You gonna attempt that?
Roll for it, boy.
Or are you gonna attempt that? You realize they know where your family is,
No.
and they know where it'll hurt. So that's a DM.
I thought about it. It ran through my head, and then I saw my
Do you
baby's.
do an
I saw my
audible-
daughter's face.
Do you do an audible? Ooh!
Yeah.
Ooh.
The second
Kill
they
him!
stand me up, I'm just like,
And one of the new kind of guards kind of is a little hesitant. That you notice, kind of skinnier, smaller. He's brand new. He's probably weak on the job. Kind of goes up, and once the newer guards kind of go up and grab you, then he kind of follows up and grabs you. and he tries to be real tough on you, so you know he's trying to grip you and move you harder.
I lock eyes with him, and I just death stare.
And
they're all moving me around, and I'm just staring into his soul.
He kind of gets intimidated, but he looks around, and he kind of sees the other guards like not even caring, so he tries to brush it off too, like, yeah, I'm one of them.
Yeah,
and
but I don't break eye contact.
He grips you tighter, and he just moves you, and he calls you, he's like, that's right, boy. But he has to look up at you a little bit. He calls you boy again. He calls you boy, and you can
What
tell
is he holding?
It was racist.
What is he holding?
He's grabbing like your shoulders and arms with some of the other guards. There's like 10 guards on
How
you.
close is my
Plus
fingers?
you're
How close are
chained,
my
aren't
fingers
you?
to him?
He's chained
How
down.
close are my
isn't he, too?
fingers?
He's like grabbing like below elbows, so you can't really like.
Just
Are
latch
you
onto
gonna
his head.
try something on your way back? You're in a position where they know your family and you're a family guy, and that's kind of, they've scouted you, so they kind of have a profile on you. So if they do something, it'll be like, time to bring your kid in and have you watch us beat her. Do you try something? You can't. You can
No.
do whatever you want.
I have restraint,
Okay.
but it's close.
Holding back.
It is this close.
Spicy!
It is this close. I'm like, every muscle in my body is just. They're like.
So you start, so you're kind of like in a U. So you have the 3 cells, and then you have a U. So it's like solid brick, if this makes sense. So in your back 3 cells, 2 hallways, and then you, if you were in your cell, you'd be facing a wall, and then you'd see the corners of the hallway.
Yeah.
In front of you, on the other side of the wall, is like interrogation room, and then
That's where I
another
just
office.
was.
Yeah. So as you start rounding the corner, you're in the hallway where you're seeing kind of that old guy who had bum legs before. So you're in the hallway where you saw him, and the guy with the bum legs before is now standing up. And it almost seemed like he was off the ground for a second. You like almost like as if he was like an inch off the ground. But as soon as like you turn the corner, he kind of gets down just that inch, and he's kind of holding stuff to kind of support him, and he kind of lowers himself back down. You don't know what it for sure was, but he was seeming maybe he was standing up or pulling himself up. So you don't know for sure.
I have a sneaking
levitating?
suspicion.
What you thinking?
I'm thinking he's a dark wizard.
Who knows? Who knows?
He did something for life, and he's still alive, and he's levitating. My eyes are. I have keen eyes. My perception
so again, he was,
is like a 16.
He was holding stuff like bars in the window bar to kind of get up. So you don't know if he was trying to just do a pull up or. But you can-
this boy that is smaller than
that was
Ethan
just
not
the
doing
first
a
thing you
pull-up.
saw was his feet, and then you looked up and he kind of lowered himself and then kind of got back down, and it seemed like, you know, obviously he's back to not having legs. The guy in the other cell is now in a different spot. So he's still like fetal position back towards you, just in a different spot. And you kind of find that more weird than the other guy, because usually that guy doesn't move. He kind of just crawls over to his food and kind of eats it out of the bowl, and then he kind of just crawls back. So he kind of moves, but he doesn't really get to different places outside of his eating time. So you kind of find that a little bit odd. So you're put in a cell, and a day or two goes by, and the guards say, we're making the sting happen tonight. You better be right. And is there anything you want to do within that time? You want to talk to prisoners next to you? You want to ask about the guard that you once saw that night? Ask about him, because as you've been through, usually, like I said, you see the same guards. There's a very tight group of guards, but you've never seen that one guard before that happened that one night. So is there anything specific you want to do, or you just want to wait it out?
How do the keys? Is it just like whoever's guarding the cells has the keys, or is it the keys are in a specific place?
So the captain, when he called you boy, one of his kind of senior guys took the key from him, and when you got shoved in, they kind of had you kneel down, face the wall, and they kind of unshackled you, while the other ones had like
Spears or whatever.
they kind of had swords kind of to your back, and then all of them kind of slowly filed out, and then one of the senior guards locked it. And you just found out it's a really unique key, so it's not like any other ones. And then you assumed they just walked around the corner. You assumed it probably just gave him back to the captain of the guard.
So the captain of the
prison
guard
guard.
is the one with the keys.
Yeah, it's the
At all
only key to
times.
your cell. It only has one copy. Most of the other guards there's a couple sets of keys to all the other ones. Just since you're a big guy, yours is unique. And you kind of have thicker bars. So, and now there's a guard outside your cell watching you 24/7. Not watching you, but he's posted in that hallway 24/7.
He's probably like at the corner.
So he's
watching
around.
your
So like,
cell.
if you start moving, maybe he'll look up from whatever he's doing to kind of look over. So there's just a guy on eyes. So obviously you can't be like trying to bend bars and then he goes like.
What? What's that?
So you find out you have less freedom in maybe strategic stuff you're trying to do in your cell, and you realize it's probably going to be hard if there's another letter that slips into your window. That may not be smart.
Well,
So
luck-
you're just kind of on
well-
the fence of that.
Wait, what did you say about it's happening tonight? Is that what you said?
So the guard said this thing's happening tonight. They're going to go raid your place based off the info you gave.
I see.
So with that going down, is there anything you want to do?
I use my poo to write back on the letter and throw it out the window. I'm just kidding. That guard's there, so it's kind of.
You gonna play with your poo still?
He's like, hey, ah!
Quit! That's nasty.
I'm not gonna come in to stop you, but stop that!
You just throw poo at the guard. Go away! Go away!
You could monkey it to the guy who doesn't move at all. You could
Yeah.
just kind of
No, throw it at the
kinda
guy
could-
that snitched
you could
on you.
Kobe it in
He's
his
like,
breakfast
"You
bowl."
hoe."
some Cocoa Pebbles. Or hit him with it, or hit the Dark Wizard Man.
Yeah, be like, hey man, you freaking snitched on me.
But you realize when you get in and kind of things settle down, you kind of notice that he doesn't look you in the eyes really anymore. He's kind of just closing his eyes and kind of like leans up against the wall, and you kind of like breathing breathing in and out. So you could be sleeping or meditating because he's an old man. That's kind of all he has left. So that's kind of what you
I'm gonna take a
notice.
closer look at Mr. Fetal Position. See what happened. See if there's anything I can see.
So you try to talk to him
Yeah.
while the guard's there.
I'm just gonna be like,
Hey,
Just like a. Okay.
Just
yeah.
take
you
a rock
whisper,
and just
hey. And he
him.
kind of like.
why'd you move? What's going on? You moved. What you doing over there?
You kind of just respond like that again.
just toss a bigger rock at him.
Just knocks him out.
You throw it and you see you hit his head and his skull's kind of like dented a little bit. And he's bleeding out of his nose.
Oh, I threw it too hard.
It's like, hey, no murder.
Hey, quit harassing the prisoners.
So, also, he's also another prisoner that's been there a very long time. Similar to the other guy,
Well, he's insane, so
but that's kind of what everyone is like. The word is he's insane, but the other guy is kind of the guy walking around. So you kind of throw it and he kind of just, and you notice that he tries to turn his head over, but he doesn't fully get there. And you've never really seen his full face straight on because you're never in a really position to see it
So
because his
he-
back is always towards you.
He can't move.
No, he does.
You said he
crawls.
tried.
He tried to look towards you.
Yeah, but he couldn't.
He didn't get fully there. It's kind of like as if you were tight, kind of like, and you just kind of, yeah.
Poo.
How much poo you got in the tank?
I haven't actually pooed anyone yet.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm not out here just like,
dude.
So that's something you noticed.
yeah.
Okay. Anything else you want to do? You want to talk to the other prisoner? Old
Why
man?
is it always
Yeah.
poo, by the way?
Okay.
Be like,
Hey, old man. Hey, Stinky.
I assume you're doing this nonchalant,
yeah, I'm like,
Hey, old man.
and he kind of just pops his eyes open and he smiles a little bit and he says. And you see he kind of gets really excited, but he tries to calm himself down a little bit. And he kind of crawls over, but he doesn't get within your reach. Again, he kind of stays his back away from you because you're a big guy. And he goes,
Yes.
I saw you hovering. I saw you. You were above the ground. I saw that. What were
and
you
he
doing?
goes,
You mean my exercise? As my legs don't work, I gotta use my arms.
I've never seen you do exercise before this day. Why'd you pick today to do the exercises?
he says,
Usually I do it at night when you're sleeping.
That's
Okay. Little.
Why'd you snitch on me, you little bitch?
and he says,
Would you like that favor?
Now he wants the favor.
You have no leverage, old man.
he says,
That's okay.
What's the favor?
it's a yes.
Or no.
Yeah,
It's yes, and I'll tell you it after when I require the favor. It's yes without knowing it.
What if he could just break out at any time?
You know what? I don't have anything else to do.
You sure? Knowing.
you get a feeling that if you say yes, you're gonna be bound to
I was
this
gonna say, I'm
favor.
like,
he's probably gonna leverage.
like
it.
making a deal
You can
with the
tell
devil.
he's kind of scary smart. Like he has something where he'll probably, if you don't do the favor after agreeing to it, he
Use it
may
against
kind of
you.
mess you up. Kind of like a prisoner. Like if you kind of mess with like a prisoner or like a high up guy in a prison, you're kind of like, oh, he's gonna have something to mess me up.
I don't want to hold no pockets here.
Okay.
I'm gonna say,
Piss off.
Get back in your corner, old man. Go back to sleep.
And
Throw
he-
some poo at him.
and he kind of
Got you close.
he kind of smiles a little wider, and then he kind of crawls back in the corner, and then goes back to lean against the wall, but he doesn't close his eyes. He kind of leaves a smile on his face, and he starts watching you again.
fetch.
And you realize as you start going to bed, you're getting droopy eye, and sometimes you'll try to wake yourself up again, and you still find him with enough energy to still just constantly watch you. So it'll be like hours in the night, you'll just kind of, and then you'll look over, and he'll just be watching you. So that's what's going on. Back to Tim!